This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social, and for the second downward shot, I'm delighted to be joined by promoter Frank Warren here at the announcement press conference for his SSE Arena Wembley show. Frank, first and foremost, as always, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, seeing I've not seen you for such a long time.
You've seen more of me than you are your family at the minute.
Oh yeah, people are talking about me and you.
I'd like to know what they're saying, but I'd also not like to know.
Right, carry on.
Frank, obviously we've just had it announced for Dubois, well, formally announced for Daniel Dubois headlining the show against Richard Lartey. Talk about the decision to put him together with Richard.
Well, I want to step him up. He's fighting a guy who's ranked at number 14 in the WBO. He's got a good record. He's 14-1. He's got much more experience than Daniel's got. He's a puncher. He's a good banger. And I think it's a step up, as I say, in class for him. And hopefully it's a fight that he can learn from. And obviously I want him to come through it.
There's a lot of expectation, as always, building around Daniel. How do you feel that he's managed and coped with it to this point?
He's handling it very well. You know, he's not an extrovert. He's a very introverted guy. He's a very dedicated and professional athlete, professional boxer, and everything he does it in that way. I think he does his talking in the ring, doesn't he, with his hands.
In terms of Daniel for this fight, do you feel that he needs another stoppage victory to just continue to make these statements in the heavyweight division, especially considering the Nathan Gorman fight happening possibly at the end of this year, if not next?
Well, he's got to keep winning, but I don't think he needs to think about Nathan Gorman no more than Nathan Gorman needs to think about him. They need to concentrate who they're fighting next. Nathan's fighting on Saturday, and they just got to keep winning. If they keep winning by the end of the year, as I've said, we will put them together.
Previously we've spoken and you said you'd like it to mull over for another couple of years for it to headline at a big event. How come you've taken that decision to maybe put it on at the end of this year, Daniel and Nathan?
Well, as I say, they've got to keep winning, and I think at that stage they'll be. I would hope by then they're both in the top 10 rankings of the world governing bodies. So that's where I want them to be, and if they're in that division, they should be they should be fighting each other.
Just whilst we're on Nathan, before I touch on the rest of this card, what have you got an update on his Saturday opponent? I know you've said that a couple of opponents had to pull out now.
I think they've got it today. They're just waiting for the Board of Control to approve it and then announce it. So till they announce it, I can't do it. It's very disappointing for Nathan. He's trained very hard. Keep getting changes of opponents, you know what style you're fighting. Mentally, it's not a good position for him to be in. And it's happened to him a couple of times, and I feel for him, and I know he's very, very upset. And it also upsets us because obviously we're in a position where you're spending so much time on effort getting these guys over here. But anyway, that happens in boxing, and unfortunately he's been on the end of it a couple of times now, and we've got to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Seems to be these Leicester shows, Frank, they just always seem to bring bad luck.
Don't even go tell me we are now. But well, I don't like thinking things like that. I'm a positive person. I don't like thinking about bad luck. Make your own luck.
I agree with that one, Frank. And we're going to the rest of this undercard then. Tommy Langford returning to fight on one of your shows. Easy to work with him to make this fight?
Yeah, no problem making the fight. It's a quality fight. The two of them are good fighters. I think for their own, he's had 11 fights. So obviously Tommy's got far more experience than him. But Lerone feels he's ready for it, and it has the makings of a classic fight.
Lerone looking to move quickly, and we've seen it recently. You've put a lot of your own fighters in amongst each other, the likes of Woodstock and RG Sharp last year. You're talking about Dubois, Gorman. What's brought this decision to start mixing your fighters with either themselves or with other opponents who have fought at higher levels and pushing them that bit quicker?
I've always done it. It's nothing new. You've got to look at the records of the fighters and see. I've always made the fights. I've always made the best fighting the best. You know, George Groves. Very early in his career, George Groves and James DeGale, we got it on. There was a loser, but at the end of the day, they both went on and won world titles. Good fighters do that. I have always done it for going back since I started in the game. Go and have a look at the records of fighters, and you'll see it. We make them happen.
We'll also look at Jack Catterall returning as well. What have you got lined up for him?
Jack is ranked number 1 by the WBO. He's the mandatory challenger to Hooker. That fight, I believe, will be ordered probably for the autumn. So I just want to keep him busy, keep him active, keep him winning. Don't want to lose, otherwise he loses opportunity. And then he's in a real tough fight. But he's a quality young fighter, and I think that. If things go his way, I think he can wind up becoming a world champion by the end of the year.
Does Jack feel that he's ready to step up to world level now? Is he ready for that hooker fight?
He drives me mad for the fight, and he went out and watched the fight. So it's not a problem with him in doing that. You know, at the end of the day, he's number one in the world. That's what he's got to do. He's got to fight.
Sonny Edwards also on the undercard. An exciting performance last time out against Granados.
Yeah.
What are your plans with him, and who do you have lined up for him for this show?
Again, we're working on an opponent for him. He'll defend his title and just keep him moving, keep him busy, and hopefully get him in a position by the end of the year he's fighting for a world title. He's capable. I think he's capable of winning a world title this year.
So I was going to come on to. He's shown a lot of skill throughout his career, and especially on the back of that Granados victory. Is he pushing you as well now to try and engineer a world top fight?
All fighters push you. They all want to do it, but it's all boxing's about timing. It's about making the right moves at the right time. And I think he's getting more and more experience, and the more experience he gets, the better it'll be for him when he does actually challenge for a world title. But obviously, we're on course for him hopefully fighting for a world title by the end of the year.
Obviously, Chelli, his brother's got the WBC world title. Does that maybe make Sonny want to find himself in that position himself a bit more, maybe take not necessarily a limelight away from his brother, but put a bit more on himself?
I'm sure it does. Of course he'd want to be doing that. There's no doubt about that. They're brothers and they're obviously very close, but that's that sibling rivalry that you have, isn't it, between in families. So I'm quite sure at the end of the day they will, that he'll be looking to emulate what his brother's done, in good style.
And Zach Chelli returning to the big shows once again on the back of his victory this past weekend. Talk to me about what you've got lined up for him against Jim Smith.
Well, what we got lined up is a Southern Area title. The pair of them are fighting each other. It's another step up for him. I think he's only had 6 fights, Zach, and Jimmy's had, about 10 fights, I think. Yeah. So it's another step up for him. He's not fought a 10-rounder yet. So again, he's asking questions himself. But he's a guy who's in a hurry to get some places. He wants to be getting the big time very quickly, and I'm sure that Jim's going to be there we'll have other ideas to stop that from happening. But again, it's got the marks on it of being a really good fight.
Zach's father was walking around with Zach Chelli with the best super middleweight in Great Britain on his shirt. Your thoughts on that?
It's a nice shirt.
What about the logo?
It's a nice logo. I mean, that's what they think, and they're entitled to their opinion. I'm sure other people have got other opinions on that. There's only one way you're going to find out who's the best super middleweight in Britain is for to get them all fighting each other, and that's what will happen.
He said he's going to be keeping a close eye on the Richards-Langford fight. Is that something that you'd consider making towards the end of the year?
Well, why wouldn't you do that? Zach gets another 3 or 4 fights under his belt, so he'll be 10-0 if he wins, if he beats Jimmy and comes through and wins other fights. Then he'll be a couple of fights behind Lerone. Why wouldn't you make that happen, providing Lerone wins? And that's a tough fight that he's got.
And a couple of quick things I just wanted to ask you about away from the card. Yesterday we did have Wilder's press conference where he announced he's turned down the other offers and stuck with Showtime. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's very, he's got a very astute manager in Shelley Finkel, and he's got an advisor he's got tremendous faith in Al Heyman. And obviously they've all sat down and they've worked a plan out, and their plan is to stay with Showtime. I think they mentioned it's going to be on Showtime regular. It's not a pay-per-view fight, and that's their plan. That's where they're at, and I think it's a smart move for them what they've done.
And Billy Joe Saunders, I know you said you got a press conference announcing what's going on with him on Friday, but any hints as to what we should expect?
You should expect an announcement on Friday.
No exclusives, Frank?
That's exclusive from me. It's an exclusive announcement. It'll be at 11:30.
Frank, I will see you on Friday. As always, thanks for being the Boxing Social.
Cheers, my son.